today we're talking about our December trip to Tromso. So we went in December 2022.
Yeah.
And like that was last year. We're now in July when we're filming this, like afterwards, obviously. We didn't vlog it, so that's why we're doing like a little review, recap, looking back on it, because we've been busy since then. I'm glad we didn't vlog. Like, it would have been nice to look back on it, but I'm glad we didn't vlog because we needed like a breakaway.
We needed a break. We needed time away where it was just us.
We did get a lot of videos and photos, and it was really nice. Like, my intention of the holiday was to soak in the culture, especially the time of year going in December. I really wanted it to be a relaxing kind of holiday, so I said to Kay, like, I've not really done an itinerary. And Kay was like, so you've done one? I'm like, no. As I just wanted to soak in the culture and not rush about, and we really needed.
It was just really chill.
Yeah, that's
the whole
what we
experience
needed.
itself was just chill. We wasn't rushing about. We didn't have to be from A and B by certain times. We just did our own thing and we just explored. We wandered and we enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, that's what we needed. So as I said, we didn't vlog it, so we're going to like review it because December's now, like, December 2023 is now only like a few months away now.
6 months.
6 months.
5 months.
So like people who are like going on December trips, like, soon we'll be booking them. So if anyone who is deciding on like what is Tromso, where is Tromso, why should I go to Tromso, if you come across this video, maybe it can help you out a little bit. So what did we do in Tromso?
Well, because of the time of year that we went, it was already lit up in regards to, they start having Christmas decorations around and things which were nice. So as we was just exploring the high street and walking near the docks and everything, there were Christmas trees, there were Christmas lights, so we just explored that first.
Bear in mind, Christmas lights are necessary.
Yeah, like if you're looking into going to Tromso, you especially that time of year, you already know that you're going during their polar night season, meaning it is you don't get daylight. It brightens up a little bit around between 10 AM and 12 PM.
So you get a day, but you don't get sunlight.
You don't get sunlight. The sun doesn't breach the horizon, so you get the dusk. That's what you get.
Yeah. Because there was that moment where we was coming back from our main trip, our whale trip, and it was about 2, I think. And Kay was like, we're gonna get back, get some tea, have a shower, just go to sleep. And I was like, no, we're gonna get back, have a snack, go wander about, get some tea, then go for a shower, go sleep, kind of thing. And Kay was like, do we have time? And I was like, it's 2. And he was like, I thought it was about 6.
Yeah, it was night.
It's pitch black at about 2. It's pitch black.
I have a photo which is on the way back on the boat, and it was just weird because I think it was like 2:15, but it was dark. It was as if it was like 9 PM. So that were a strange experience.
This is what I mean by Christmas lights are needed at that time of year.
Yeah.
Because you are in the Arctic Circle, so it's dark at this point.
If you go in during the summertime,
you get the opposite.
You get midnight sun, which basically you get the opposite. You don't get nighttime. You get a little bit of darkness, but then the sun's constantly there. So
yeah, it's a fun experience.
Yeah, it's it was definitely a lifetime experience for us, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the first day, we had it was a big deal for me.
Yeah, we were up early. We were up very early because we needed to be at the docks. I think it was for 8 a.m.
Something like that.
Around 7:45, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Ready to basically set sail. And it takes about an hour and a half or so to get to the whale feeding ground, where they are. And we used a company called Brim Explorer. Absolutely brilliant. They're full of marine biologists.
Eco-friendly.
They use a diesel engine boat to get you there, but as soon as they get close, they switch to a battery-powered engine, so it's silent. It doesn't disturb the whales, and it was just. The whole area was just beautiful because you're just out in in the middle, and you've just got fjords all around you. You just see snow everywhere.
We got to see little Sami towns at the bottom of mountains.
You could see at the base, what they call
all the
summit.
lights on. Yeah.
It was just and you saw all the lights in their little houses and whatnot, that were cute.
They've got good food on board.
Mm-hmm.
Vegan and gluten free.
Yes. The Sophie had a soup. It were a chickpea soup, I think it was.
Yeah. And something that we found out about Tromso is they like spice in their food. It's like warm yourself from the inside out because it's cold.
So we, I can't remember what I had.
I'm just thinking bread, but...
I had something. I can't remember what I had. Sophie got the soup, and the bread with the soup looked really nice because it was a sourdough, but it was
it was a rosemary focaccia, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was really spongy, weren't it?
I've got an itchy elbow.
So she had that on the way back. So once we started setting sail,
because after being outside and being all cold, it was nice to have that on the way back and warm up after being out in the cold on the fjords, for an hour or two.
We were out there for about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
And you're in the Arctic Circle in winter, so cold.
I think when we got up to where we were, I think it was -12 at one point. I didn't
even look,
I had a look when we were travelling up, but I think we were about -12.
I think the most beautiful thing about the boat trip was you could sit anywhere you wanted on the inside. Mm-hmm. You had commentary on the way there, and they really knew their stuff.
Yeah.
You could do little games. There boxes of games and colouring and pillows and cushions and blankets and stuff. But you could sit wherever you want.
It were all heated on the inside,
yeah.
So it were all. You had a panoramic window going all the way around. It were a catamaran basically, but it had panoramic windows going all the way around. It had 2 decks, so you sat inside, nice and warm. You didn't have to have your coat on. People were you saw groups of people just chatting and chilling. We were sat quite close to a window, and we were sat facing away, so we could see. We were facing backwards.
Yeah, and we were at the back.
We were at the back of the boat, facing backwards, and there were a door near us which we could go outside.
That's the thing as well, what I found amazing, because usually when you're on a boat tour, they're stay seated until we stop.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. They were go out whenever you want. And
it would just be careful because
the deck was full of ice.
It was full of ice because you've got to think the water's splashing up anyway, and it's freezing, so it's going to freeze, and it was slippy. But we both had snow boots on. We both had quite decent grips on them, so we were fine.
So I found that beautiful, being able to stand out on the fjords.
Yeah.
I actually said to Kay that if we didn't see whales on this specific like whale trip, which they can't guarantee, I'd still find it like worth the price and really enjoyable just riding up through the fjords, because
the scenery itself were breathtaking.
That's just worth it, even without seeing whales. But the whales.
Yeah, we saw, how many did we see? About five, maybe 6.
7. We saw 2 humpbacks when we arrived, and then we saw 2 fins together, or was it 4? Were they 2 separate lots, or were they travelling about? And then we saw a sleeping humpback, and then we saw Helga the fin whale, which...
Yeah, we named it Helga.
Little story time. Kay's on the other side of the boat.
I'm at the back of the boat at this point, and I was wandering around on the inside. I'm looking through the windows, and what had happened is I was right in the corner near our seats where we were, and I'd got up and I was just about to go outside to take some videos and take some photos, and this woman, because you have commentary, you have somebody over there telling, she's there talking.
Yeah, so like while everyone's outside looking and trying to take photos of whales and stuff, she can be like 3 o'clock whale kind of thing.
So she was basically giving you directions where to look. Now, at this point, Sophie is out on the deck, and I can't remember if you were upstairs or if you were downstairs.
I was downstairs on the right hand side, and everyone's like at about 10 o'clock on the boat. I'm at about 2-3 o'clock on the boat.
So Sophie's looking over, and a whale greets her basically right up close. It's right underneath the boat, comes up, and at this point the marine biologist who was on the tannoy basically got very excited, and everybody rushed over. So I'm walking through the boat at this point. This woman barged straight past me and basically nearly knocked me over to get to the window so that she could try and see, knowing you got to think there's a decking as well, so she's not going to see anything. And then at this point I managed to get outside and I saw a glimpse of this whale, but Sophie got some pictures.
Yeah, I had a one-on-one moment with who we then called Helga.
Yeah, very briefly, until the marine biologist got way excited and
everyone ran over. That was like a perfect moment, because I remember being little and saying like one of my dreams was I said to go to Oslo, but Oslo's not perfect. So to go to Oslo and whale watch, it's always been a dream. And then I was like, okay, let's go to Tromso. And because we chose Tromso because we wanted to go to somewhere in Norway in the Arctic Circle. We looked at a couple of places, and then we wanted to go to Tromso for like Christmas. We wanted like that whole cultural vibe, but then it was like Tromso shut at Christmas, so we'll go for like Yule. So that's how we ended up like deciding on Tromso and the time. And I said my dream was always to watch whales in Norway, and I found that December is like the best time to do that, so I was like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
I agree, we're doing it.
I had no say in that matter. That was it.
We bought the whale trip for each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was my dream, so I had a one-on-one moment with Helga. I was just stood there, nice and quiet on my own, just looking out, and everyone else is like at the front looking at this humpback that was asleep, and then this fin just like jumped out of nowhere, and yeah, that was the perfect trip. We did drink some Arctic water while we was there as well, which I thought was weird. Like, for me personally, I feel like normal water over here, like America, Europe, Asia, anywhere we've been, I feel like any other normal water is like got a thick consistency to it, whereas in the Arctic, when we had Arctic water, it was like really thin, like really light. It's the only way I can explain it. So other than the most amazing whale trip ever, we did a lot of like just browsing the area, just walking about, like switch your phone off and just walk.
Yeah, it's a small island, Tromso, so you don't
Tiny.
you don't need maps, you don't need anything like that, because it's so easy to walk from one side to the other. And yeah, we just wandered around. We
even went off the island.
Yeah,
we went over the bridge.
Yeah, we did that on the second day though, didn't we?
Yeah.
So the first day after we'd done the whale experience, we'd come back, we'd got back into the room, did basically just chilled out for a bit, and then we decided to go back out for the afternoon, find something for tea, and just explore and just wandered around, which we did, and we just
bits of shopping.
Yeah, went into a couple of souvenir shops. We saw some like traditional shops as well, which you got the headband from.
Yeah, it was a Sami shop.
A Sami shop. So so she bought this Norway headband, which I think were really nice, wasn't it? Because it gave you didn't need to wear the beanie hat that she had.
Yeah, I didn't end up with like an itchy, like wool on your head, because we wanted like thermal like hat. So I had like a fleece lined hat, but like when you have a hat on, like a lot of the time, like me personally, I can get an itchy head with it. But then with wearing the like thermal like headband instead, the fleece headband, it like warms your ears, where I don't really feel like a hat really does, but the headband like warmed my ears, and it meant that like my hair wasn't like stuck underneath, and the headband was like a great decision, because I went into Norway being like, why do they wear the headbands, like doesn't it like, aren't they cold? But I get it now.
Yeah, and it were I think I've got, yeah, I don't know if it's going to show. No.
It's nice and warm. I think I slept in it one night.
Probably. But to be honest, we were thinking we were needed to prepare in regards to clothes wise, which I think we did really well with.
Absolutely.
We got the wool base layers, top and bottom. We then wore like a t-shirt over the top. We got a pair of thermal waterproof trousers to put over the bottoms. We got snow boots, which again waterproof and fleece lined. And then I got a couple of jumpers. You've got like a wool jumper.
I had, yeah.
And then we just had like a big coat. So I bought a like a down coat, and then I also bought a waterproof. But one of the days I just didn't even bother taking the waterproof, because I just didn't need it. Because of how the weather was, you didn't get wet.
No.
So it was just, I had the down coat on just to keep me warm. We were walking around at one point with like no gloves on, because we were that warm body wise, you just didn't need anything on your hands.
Yeah, I was quite surprised, because I had my arthritis gloves, which I always wear throughout winter, so I already had them on, but then I had like a second pair of gloves to wear over the top, but I didn't even wear them.
No.
And I have Raynaud's.
So and then on the second day,
it was actually colder here. In Manchester it was -9, and in Tromso when we was walking by it was like -2.
Yeah, it was strange. And we'd like, unfortunately, because they'd had the snow a few days, or about 3 days late, about 3 days earlier, because they had the snow, there were still snow clouds in the sky, so we couldn't see the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. It just weren't going to happen. It was too cloudy. We tried both days. It just weren't going to happen. Which we knew weren't going to be guaranteed. It was just upsetting that obviously you can't guarantee it. And like, people pay for tours, and if that's what you want to do, then that's your choice. Personally, it weren't for us, because you could pay all that money to be trekking around for 2 to 3 hours trying to find the Northern Lights and not end up seeing it.
Yeah, whereas like you can't guarantee the whales, but at least the journey's nice.
But then on the second day, we had a wander again. We just wandered around, and then we wandered over to the other island,
To the Arctic Cathedral.
To the Arctic Cathedral on the other island. I forgot what the other island was called. That's it. And you go over Tromso Bridge,
It's just long.
Yeah, and what we didn't realise is you've got to... So the pathways are bike pathways as well. Or at least one side of the bridge is a bike pathway. So when we were walking over, we were following a couple of other people who were going over as well. And we were actually on the bike pathway. And I didn't actually realise until we were walking back, because there's a sign that says, like, bike only. We didn't really realise that. But it's a long bridge. We walked over, went to the Arctic Cathedral.
Yeah, if you have problems with walking, by the way, it's going to be an issue walking over for you.
Yeah.
Because with, like, my fresh leg injury, it was exhausting for me personally.
Yeah. So yeah, we went into Arctic Cathedral. We spent some time in there, and that was just a... It's just such a weird experience in there, because when you think of cathedral, you're thinking old building, you're thinking like old glass windows, like stained glass windows. But this is not. This is modern.
White
At the base of a...
It's more like of an architectural church.
yeah, and it was really nice. It's got like a big glass stained window at the back, and then behind you, as you're going in, is the organ up on the roof, which is huge, in it. Then we wandered around that island a little bit. We was thinking about taking the cable car up to the top.
Yeah, that's when my leg was like, no.
But with Sophie's leg, with her injury and whatnot, we just decided to avoid it. And well, if we ever were to go back, then...
Like, it wasn't, like, on our original plan, because as I said, we didn't set an itinerary apart from, like, we have to go on this world trip.
Yeah. So we would just like to try and fill a gap, really. But we ended up having a slow walk back over to Tromso Island, and then again, we just wandered around the opposite side and... went into a couple of shops, and there were a little supermarket like near his hotel, so we went in that and got a couple of bits of food and snacks to bring back.
That's a little tip if you're not like used to holidays. Check out your nearest supermarket.
Yes, absolutely. There's a 7-Eleven in Tromso as well, which...
Oh, a couple.
There's a couple, yeah. So went in there a couple of times to pick up some bits. I think you got a vegan hot dog in there.
Again, like, the food is like spicy. Like, we went to Florida a couple of months before it, and with like the massive like Spanish influence there, you'd think like a bit of spicy food, right? Nope, didn't taste spice. Go to Tromso, Scandi, you know, and spicy food. But as I said, it's like warming yourself up from the inside out.
On the second day, I went up to the tiniest...
smallest hot chocolate stand in the world.
Yeah, or Europe or something. But it is a tiny little cupboard basically, where this one woman's working and just making hot chocolates, and you can get hot chocolates with like Baileys in, and like alcohol and things. But I just got a normal. They
did mulled wine as well, and she had like a little campfire going on outside for people to sit around.
Yeah, little benches, and a little campfire for people to sit around and whatnot. So as I was going up and I got myself a hot chocolate, she was watching the World Cup, because the World Cup final was on that day before.
It was so funny because that day it was like quiet, but then you could hear cheering.
Yeah. Obviously, Norway weren't in the World Cup, but they were like, a lot of them were just supporting. I think a lot of them were just supporting Argentina, wanting Messi to win. But
they were still hyped for that.
They were really hyped for it. So everywhere we walked, there were people cheering in regards to the World Cup.
People just walking past us, like watching it on their phones, like in groups and stuff. Yeah. So we set off on the Thursday.
Yes. So I'm going to explain this. So we travelled down to London. We drove from Manchester to Heathrow.
Otherwise it'd mean going from Manchester to London to Oslo, from Oslo to Tromso, and we was like, we don't want to do that many planes.
No. So originally what we did is we booked a hotel down at Heathrow Airport, so we drove down Thursday about 11 o'clock, I think we set off. And then because of traffic and whatnot, I think we got to our hotel in at Heathrow for about 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. We got ourselves checked in, we ordered food in.
Because there's none at the hotel.
There was a restaurant, so when we first went into the hotel, there was a restaurant downstairs and there was a sign saying restaurant closed. There was a Costa saying no coffee. So we're like, so what do we do? So we thought, right, we'll have a look. Had a look on Deliveroo and Uber Eats, and we had a browse around. There were a McDonald's just up the road, there was a Burger King. So we just decided to order in. As I'd gone downstairs to go and collect the order, I then realised that the restaurant had opened up. Instead of it just saying restaurant closed, it should have said restaurant currently closed, will open at this time.
I didn't even know it opened.
It opened up. It opened up about, I think it was, when we got us food, it must have been about 6:30.
Well, it didn't say any times anywhere.
No, it didn't. Even when you looked online, it said nothing.
Yeah, it just said like, oh, we provide you with a restaurant as well, so you can get food at the hotel.
So, other than that, we chilled in the hotel. We had an early night because we were up very early. Our flight was supposed to be at 7:10 from Heathrow to Oslo. So
obviously we got there 3 hours previous.
We got there for about 4:30, I think. I was up because I needed to de-ice the car. Sophie basically got told off by a security guard for being inside the hotel that she just stayed in, waiting for me to de-ice the car. We finally set off, got to the car parking at Heathrow, which I'd prepaid, and we got into Heathrow, went to find some food, had a nightmare finding food in Heathrow Airport.
Got through security really quick.
Yes, yeah, we did. That was good.
That was when it stopped being smooth.
Yes. As soon as we got in and we were looking around for food, couldn't find any food anywhere. We did end up settling, finding bits to eat somewhere.
Which is not a big deal.
And then we made our way to the gate because the gate had opened. Made our way to the gate and we sat there waiting.
I'm waiting.
And we had no announcement, and it kept on saying that we were delayed.
Oh, we was like, all of us who were sat there waiting for the plane, our phones just kept buzzing and we just all kept looking at it, and we're all looking at each other like laughing like
getting notifications. There were nothing on the tannoys, nothing. And
no one came up to us to tell us everything. You could see people like starting to get annoyed. You could see them.
As every notification came through, people were getting more and more annoyed.
Started to get to know people, know where they were going, what they were doing.
Yeah. So I don't think we actually managed to fly out until I think it was about 1:30. Mm-hmm. So it was, as flight should have left at 7:10 in the morning. We didn't fly until 1:30 that afternoon. We was given a voucher for food at 12 o'clock.
Which we couldn't use.
Which we couldn't use because it was saying, they said, oh, you've got a voucher, here you go to go and get something to eat.
But at the same time they kept saying like, oh, your gate's opening in 10 minutes, like for the next like hour.
Yeah.
Which you don't know where you are.
So we couldn't leave because if the gate opened, then you wouldn't be able to, you'd have to try and make your way back to try and get onto the plane. Then we went into Oslo, connected at Oslo. And
bear in mind, because we was going from London to Oslo, from Oslo to Tromso, by the time we got to Oslo, our Oslo flight to Tromso gone. Because obviously we're late.
We'd missed it. We'd been delayed by 6 hours. So at this point we'd already missed that connecting flight. So the company that we flew with had rebooked us onto another flight.
But not to Tromso.
A lot of people had either been redirected onto another flight and rebooked on automatically, or they had to go to the check-in desk to basically get told what they needed to do. We looked on our app as we were leaving the plane and we'd been rebooked on automatically, even though on the tannoy on by the air hostess on the plane. It didn't say anything about Tromso.
She didn't say we were going.
Which didn't say anything. She says if you're going anywhere else, then you need to speak to check-in desk.
Case stressing and like, let's run through the airport and get our next flight.
So
because we're like, gotta get on it.
Yeah. So we got to the gate in regards to for his next flight. That was delayed. We then finally got onto that flight
to Bodo,
which we've been redirected to go from Oslo to Bodo to then Bodo.
Which we were sat there like, where's that?
Like, where's Bodo? Where we're going here? So we got.
We got on a plane that we don't know where it's going.
Yeah. So
Is it even still in Norway?
We got on this flight. We were sat on this plane for an hour and a half, not moving from the terminal, because. They said that they needed, so I get it, they need to de-ice the plane. It was freezing. It was minus 16 on Oslo, right? I understand. But he was saying we need to warm up the engine. It'll take about 10 minutes. So you got two engines on each, you got one engine on each wing. We need to warm up the engine. So it's going to take about 10 minutes. Sat there for an hour and a half. And when you'd done one, and you were like, right, we just need to do the other one. And I'm like, that should have took 10 minutes. Why did that take an hour? Finally, started moving. We then had to go to the de-icing platform, so then they de-iced the whole plane to then make us way. We arrived in Bordeaux.
Did we get the next plane to Tromso on time?
We did, after sprinting through a tiny airport, but we got put into one place, and then the woman at the desk said, if you go into Tromso, your plane's going to be arriving at a different gate, so you need to make your way to this gate. So everybody at this point who was on our plane...
like, everyone who was on our London to Oslo flight, like, half of the people, like, left and didn't go to the Bodo flight, and then, like... And people from the Bodo to the Tromso flight, like half of them left, and there was just like a select few of us who were going to the same place at the same time on the same plane.
Yeah. So we're all there sprinting through this tiny airport at Bodo to get to the other gate. So we'll start walking down these stairs, and you're going out onto basically the airstrip.
Our first bit of snow in Norway.
And we're in Bodo at this point. So
we're having like snow blizzards around our face.
Yeah, it was heavy, and all I saw, because I'm looking around thinking, where do we go here? And all I saw was this little pilot
little plane,
a little window, and he's waving and he's going over here. So
on a little rubber band plane.
It had propellers. It was terrifying.
But then we landed in Tromso. We made it.
Yeah, finally. We arrived
The airport was shut.
Yeah. We should have arrived in Tromso. Originally, we should have arrived in Tromso for about 2 p.m, something like that. We arrived at 12 o'clock.
The next day, so we get in the flight on the Friday, and we arrived in Norway on the Saturday. So the day where I'm like, okay, like, all the flights was like, we are getting that whale trip. We are going on it, because it was a Saturday morning. I was like, I'm determined we are going on it.
So we finally made our way into Tromso, and we waited for his luggage. That were another thing.
I mean, bless that luggage.
Waiting for the luggage as well, for that to get through, because obviously we'd been redirected. We'd had a big suitcase to take with us as well. So at this point, it's been transferred from Heathrow to Oslo, Oslo to Bodo, and then Bodo to Tromso.
And we was like,
are we going to get this luggage? Is it going to arrive?
Thankfully, we had a tracker on the app, and we could see that it was following us the whole time.
Yeah, which were good.
And then we saw it there, and we was like, oh, yeah.
But then... We're looking out the plane thinking, has he got our luggage?
Yeah, I watched it the whole time. I saw it go on the plane. But then, because the airport was shut, there was no buses to get you into the centre of Tromso either. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I'll go and withdraw some money on a Norwegian cash machine that I don't know how to use, but I did it, and then we'll run outside and see if there's a taxi rank, this tiny little like bus shelter. So I went and stood in there, was like, we don't even know if we're going to make it to the centre of Tromso at this point. But then
there were no taxis, so we stood there waiting. All other people had come off our plane, were waiting for taxis, started queuing up behind us, and we're thinking they might be queuing up for nothing here, because we don't actually know if any taxis are running. But luckily a taxi did turn up, and he were brilliant, weren't he?
Yeah.
He helped us with the suitcases, put everything in the boot, dropped us off at his hotel.
I like ran into that hotel and was like, I'm home.
And we got a drink from the hotel as soon as we checked in.
Nice warm hotel. It was a Thun Polar in Granagata in Tromso centre.
Yeah, which were a beautiful hotel, really, really nice. Breakfast were beautiful as well, absolutely
Just
divine.
what we wanted.
And it was absolutely spot on. And we had a really, really lovely view from his room as well. Could see
of
down
the
the high
mountain
street.
and the cable car. And if you want to book that hotel, little tip, like sign up to the hotel online and you get a massive discount.
Yes.
I think we got like £100 discount, for example.
So that was really good.
Oh, it doesn't cost you anything to sign up. But there you go.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
And that was it, really. It was an experience. Coming back, we connected through Stockholm in Sweden, which that was straightforward, that weren't it?
Yeah, apart from we was delayed in Sweden.
Yeah, but not as extensive as what London was.
So yeah, we're there like...
The only panic that I had was I had paid for my parking right in advance for us to be basically out of the car park by 7 p.m. because that we should have arrived in Heathrow for 5:30, giving us time to get through passport, give us time to get us luggage. We should have been at this point. We should have been out of the airport into the car before 7 p.m. to drive home. We didn't arrive back, and I don't think we actually got everything until about 8:30, 9 o'clock, because we didn't actually get home until about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So because we had to drive back to Manchester. So at this point, it was just our panicking, thinking they can't be charging me because it's not my fault. I've been delayed.
Yeah, but thankfully they take that into consideration. So going to Tromso and back, the flights, we're originally like, no, we don't want to go from Manchester to London, from London to Oslo, from Oslo to Tromso. Too many planes.
Which we did anyway. There were too many planes. So yeah, the plane from Bordeaux to Tromso, not the best plane, in my opinion.
I enjoyed it.
I think it was a company called Windass or something. But the pressure of the plane, when you get pressure in your ears, I'm normally good and I can get rid of the pressure and it's fine. It was stuck in my left ear and I went deaf for a good hour or so, and I was just in pain. It was just a sharp shooting pain going straight down here, and I was in agony with it until we actually got his luggage, got into the taxi, and started getting into the hotel is when it started to pop, and I was fine.
Well, I was fine, and because I had the window seat, I got beautiful views, like flying over islands into Tromso. Yeah,
all lit up.
I was so excited, and so excited to be in Tromso, and I'm sat there like once we're in bed like, we're gonna see Wales because we made it.
I just wanted to sleep.
I was determined that we was gonna make it and we was going to see those whales. That was like all that was in my head. Kay was stressing and I was like, we're getting there.
I've been replaced. Hello.
So, Kay,
Which one?
how did you find the Tromso trip?
Travelling, horrendous. Just stressful on its own.
Yeah, because like travelling in winter with the planes and having to de-ice and stuff is a bit of a nightmare. I'm not saying I won't do it again.
Thanks for that. Being in Tromso, beautiful. I'd do it all over again. That just the experience. I'd love to probably like either go somewhere, either Tromso again or somewhere similar. I would do.
Yeah, like there's many beautiful places in the Arctic Circle, and whilst we was travelling up the fjords, we was like able to track where, and we was like, we could go more north because we know we can handle the cold there.
Yeah.
I even got warm. I said I have Raynaud's. People know me for being cold. I got that warm. I had to have an ice cream.
Yeah, she bought an ice pop. An ice cream. Yes, she did. She did. So yeah, I would do it all over again. I would.
So there is our Tromso review finally. And I said we didn't vlog it, so that's why we've just done this video instead.
Yes, we do have photos, and we will be putting some photos up every now and again on our travel Instagram if you're not already looking at it. If you're not already following us, it will be down in the description. So you'll be able to. Thanks for that, love. Will be in the description. So.
Say bye, Lily.